How's everybody doing? Good. Weather is decent, no hurricanes yet. They happen in Florida. Did you guys know that? Who actually likes it when the hurricanes come? Does anybody like that? I just want to see. See, there's a couple weirdos out there, right? What is it you like about it? No work, okay. I feel like it turns into camping a little bit. I'm okay with like 2 days of it, but then after I'm ready to get back to the real world. Your kids start acting like they act, you know? But, okay, so this week we have entitled this small series that I'm doing called Living Outside the Matrix. Has anyone seen the movie? Who has not seen the movie The Matrix in here? I want to see who has not. Okay. Who has seen The Matrix? That's good. Good. I wanted to see if we were in the majority. All right. So basically, you are my somewhat sci-fi nerds. Am I right? A little bit. Even if you hate sci-fi, I want you to go see the movie. Okay? You got to go see it. I know it's been out. You've had some time. It came out in '99. So I think they just went over the 25th anniversary. I saw it in the theaters at the 20th anniversary back in whatever year, 2019 that was. But some of you, there we go. Some of you, here's what I know, are anti-sci-fi, right? I know. My wife is one of those. I kind of have to push her on every sci-fi movie. And some of you, even though I just gave you the assignment to go watch the movie, you are probably not going to go watch the movie. Let me see if you're not going to go watch the movie. Let me see your hand. Okay, there we go. That's all I wanted was some honesty. Thank you. We're getting somewhere now. And because of you few, I have to give you a small summary of what the Matrix movie is, okay? Small. In the Matrix, computer programmer, hacker Thomas Anderson, also known as Neo, discovers his reality is a simulated world created by machines that have enslaved humanity for energy, okay? Morpheus, a rebel leader, recruits Neo to learn the truth and join the fight against the machines in the bleak world, real world, believing Neo is the one prophesied to free humanity. Neo then becomes a rebel, learning to manipulate the Matrix's rules, fight powerful agents, and ultimately declare war against the machines. Now, some of you, if you're new, you might be wondering, why are we talking about the Matrix? I came here to hear about Jesus. I understand. But the good news is the writers of the Matrix actually wrote Christology throughout the entire movie. So you can go back, those that are judging us about talking about the Matrix, go back and watch it. You'll see some of the symbolisms there. I actually have a picture. I want to see if they got the picture of the group. It's the group of people. Let's see. No? Don't have the group of people. Don't have the group of people. All right. Everybody kind of knows what they look like, though, right? Okay, I'm going to run you through who we have. Neo is the main person. Okay, his name is Thomas Anderson, and his name, Neo, is actually an anagram, okay? If you don't know what an anagram is, you manipulate the letters around of the one, or Neo, and it turns into one, okay? And his real name is Thomas Anderson. Anderson, if you look it up, it actually means son of man. He's explicitly portrayed as a messianic figure. Okay, so I mean, you can watch the movie, you'll pick up on some of the signs. They did this on purpose. Morpheus acts as John the Baptist figure, heralding the arrival of the one. He is Neo's guide and fervent believer in the prophecy of the one, acting as Neo's conscious desire for freedom and truth. Okay, Trinity, do you guys know who she represents? Any guesses? Her name and her redemptive love for Neo mirror the Christian concept of divine love, and she obviously represents the Trinity. And then Seifert, the traitor of the group who betrays Neo for comfort in the Matrix, he is the Judas-like figure, okay? These are decent symbols, okay, decent. I think that they're actually pretty good. If you watch the movie, you'll see it. But I'd like to give you a few other symbols, okay? The matrix, right? Which you guys kind of know. It's the little, does everybody know the screen where it has the green numbers that come down? The matrix is a fabricated reality designed by machines to keep humanity docile. Now, I need you to listen to what this is. And unaware that their bodies are being used as a power source. Matt, I'm presenting to you this morning. This is just symbolism for fun, okay? You can go away and hate me, but the matrix can be interpreted as a metaphor for religious control. In a parallel religious critique, a structured system of beliefs and doctrines is seen as an artificial framework meant to shape, listen to this, people's perceptions, emotions, and behavior. The matrix functions similarly to how some view organized religion as a tool of control. Interesting, right? Can you guys see some of that? So if this is the case, if that is some of the symbolism that is there that I'm presenting to you, then Neo actually represents us. Okay, he represents you, he represents me. All of us at one point in time were stuck in the matrix. Okay? We were stuck in a structured system of beliefs and doctrines that were meant to shape our perceptions, emotions, and our behavior, whether you realized it or not. Maybe you're still there. Maybe you're still functioning in the system. Maybe you like it. That's okay. I get it. If so, what are some ways that we can interpret that we need to get out? What are some ways that we can kind of see? If so, how can we disentangle from a harmful religious system? In other words, how do we start to leave the religious matrix? Today, I want to give you 4 healthy steps to leave the religious matrix. Are you guys ready? We're going to start right now. Number 1, we have to deconstruct some of our traditional beliefs. There you go, Matt. Saying we need to deconstruct. Right? Deconstruction, I've heard deconstruction is demonic, okay? And I will tell you, God's honest truth, people are deconstructing in massive amounts. Whether we want, like whether I'm involved in it or not, whether somebody else, you can't blame any specific thing. It is happening. In 2022, Barna did a report out as to how many people have deconstructed. 1/3 of the Christians today have deconstructed from their faith. That was in 2022, 3 years ago. Okay? So like it or not, people are deconstructing. It's an important topic that I think we should know something about. Cambridge Dictionary, and I believe some deconstruction can be healthy, just so you know. Cambridge Dictionary says, deconstruction is the act of breaking something down into its separate parts in order to understand its meaning, especially when this is different from how it was previously understood. Vocabulary, I love the way they put this. It says to deconstruct a piece of writing or a work of art is to analyze it by carefully examining its ideas and language, especially to expose its contradictions and hidden meanings. Both you and I, need to carefully examine some of our beliefs, maybe even things about the Bible, ideas, language, especially to expose its contradictions and hidden meanings. There are things that all of us grew up, that we were taught, that I would promote that you carefully examine. I don't know about you, but I was taught some pretty wild things. When I was young, I know there's a couple people here that went to church with me when I was young, but not necessarily our church, but conferences that we went to. I was taught as a young believer that if I wanted to be a millionaire, all I had to do was say, I want to be a millionaire. And magically, at some point in time, I was going to become a millionaire. I have news today, that was 25 years ago. still not there. Right? But I was taught that. And I needed to examine that thinking. I needed to deconstruct from the thinking of, say you're a millionaire, become a millionaire. At some point in time, you have to go to work. It's just a matter of fact, right? Want to be a millionaire? And even going to work doesn't make you a millionaire. At one point in time, I believed that if I was sick, it had to do with some type of sin that I had allowed to be into my life. I was sinning, I had opened the door, and now I was sick. I believed that. I needed to deconstruct from that type of thinking. I was unhealthy to think that if I was unhealthy, it was because of sin. Otherwise, I'd be sick 24/7. At one point in time, I believed that every interaction that I had outside of the church was a divine appointment for me to get somebody else saved. Don't know if you lived there. I lived there. Do you know what kind of life that is for an introvert? It's brutal. You're just trying to go about your day, and all of a sudden somebody says something more than my name is this, and you think that that is a divine appointment to get that person saved. That was a painful experience for me. I was not very good at it, by the way. Usually I'd get the hint, I'm like, he's not interested, we're good. But all of us at one point in time, whether today or back in the day, we had to let go of some traditional beliefs that we've had. Facebook had a kind of circulation of this post going on. I saw it in the Rethinking God with Tacos. Clark posted it maybe a month ago. I loved what it says. It describes deconstruction, and it says, deconstruction isn't some trendy buzzword or a rebellion born out of church hurt. For many, it's deeply personal and often painful process of untangling inherited beliefs from the true heart of God. It's not about tearing down faith, it's about seeking what's real. Most people walking through deconstruction aren't walking away from God, they're actually discovering him more intimately than they ever did in a traditional, often westernized church structures. I love that. It's a journey of stripping away what was added to Jesus: culture, control, legalism, to finally meet him as he really is. Some of the things Alan was even saying at the beginning. Just because you haven't deconstructed anything in your faith life doesn't mean you shouldn't. I'll say that again. Just because you haven't deconstructed anything in your life, in your faith life, doesn't mean you shouldn't. It just means you're capable of living comfortably within your traditional beliefs. In other words, just because you're comfortable doesn't mean it's healthy. Some people are more comfortable in a higher level of danger. They just are. That's why I don't work with the teenagers anymore, because it's like he's too comfortable. Right? You got somebody that's actually really safe with them back there, not me, okay? Years ago, we used to remodel houses. You guys have heard me talk about this before. And I remember there was this one house. I can't tell you, but it had a derogatory name that we called this house, okay? And this house for 3 years had a backup of sewage into the house, right? And we had to remodel the house, okay? So we show up, and the only way to get into the house is to place box fans to create hallways so that we could clean the house. And I worked with the teenagers back then. Once again, reasons why I shouldn't be working with teenagers, right? And I brought these teenagers in from the church. This is up in Ohio. And if they ever call and they say I have some kind of sickness, I was not involved, okay? But anyways, so we're supposed to clean this house out. We basically are all suited up in these hazmat suits. We got tape and gloves and masks, and we're here to clean this house out. And we're about a quarter of the way through. Okay, I think we started early. It's about 10 o'clock. We're about a quarter of the way through, and I noticed that this neighbor lady was watching us from the window next door, okay? A little bit older lady. Come to find out, she used to live at that house. Okay? And she's seeing us take all these shovels and throw everything into the dumpster. And I will never forget, she walks over, she's got this white nightgown on. It had blue flowers all over it. I remember her her little bonnet thing was in her hair, and I'm just like, this is kind of weird. She walks over and starts asking us about the stuff at the house and why we were throwing it all away. We're like, well, it's covered in sewage. And she walks over barefoot, no sandals, and she starts taking items from the stuff that had been over there for 3 years, putting it outside, thinking that that was something to save. And me and the other guys that were cleaning up the house, we start looking at each other like, this lady is nuts. She is crazy. She's insane. Who does this? And what was fascinating was that the lady found value in each item, and she was more willing to ignore the toxicity of the environment because holding on to something brought some form of comfort. And she needed to let go of those things. She needed to. And yet she was extremely comfortable holding on to things that were harmful to her when she needed to throw out everything in order to move forward. Everything. Now, some Christians, maybe not all, need to let go of some things. And that's my encouragement to you. One of the first ways to step out of the religious matrix is you got to let go. You got to deconstruct some things, some traditional ideas. Another healthy step to leaving the religious matrix is be willing to follow truth. Now, I think we have a picture of Morpheus maybe sitting in the chair. Nope. No, we don't. That's okay. He was stuck in the matrix, he's in there. So there's this cool conversation that goes back and forth. Morpheus is trying to talk Neo into like what the matrix is, okay? He's explaining a little bit of it. And there's this really cool dialogue that you really can pick up some of the symbolisms here. But it goes like this. I think we even have the words, but it says, Morpheus says to Neo, he says, what you know, you can't explain, but you feel it. Can you picture his voice? You felt it your entire life, right? That there's something wrong with the world. You don't know what it is, but it's there like a splinter in your mind driving you mad. It is this feeling that has brought you to me. Do you know what I'm talking about? And Neo responds, the Matrix. Morpheus says, do you know what it is? The Matrix is everywhere. It is all around us. Even now in this very room, you can see it when you look out your window, when you turn on your television. You can feel it when you go to work, when you go to church, when you pay your taxes. It is the world that has been pulled over your eyes to blind you from the truth. Neo responds, what truth? And Morpheus says that you are a slave, Neo. Like everyone else, you were born into bondage, born into a prison that you cannot smell or taste or touch, a prison for your mind. And unfortunately, no one can be told what the Matrix is. You have to see it for yourself. This is your last chance. After this, there is no turning back. You take the blue pill, the story ends, and you wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to believe. You take the red pill, and you stay in Wonderland, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes. Remember, all that I'm offering you is truth, nothing more. Neo his awakening begins with accepting Morpheus's pill, which reveals the liberating but harsh truth about the Matrix. John 8:31, it says, Jesus said to those Jews who believed in him, when you continue to embrace all that I teach, you prove that you are my true followers. Verse 32, it says, for you, if you embrace truth, listen to this, if you embrace truth, it will release true freedom into your lives. When you embrace truth, I'm telling you guys this, it releases true freedom. I don't know if you've ever been in this kind of scenario. Have you ever faced something, some type of truth that was going to cause some type of pain? Like if you followed that truth, there was going to be pain at the end. I have had many scenarios like that in my life, unfortunately. That I followed something and then pain happened right after that. And there have been also times where I knew that there was truth about something, but I chose not to follow it because I knew it would also bring pain. I stayed away from it for years. Until years ago, I made a promise to myself that if I find some type of truth, I will follow it regardless of the pain. And every time I follow it, there is pain. But there's such freedom that comes with that truth. If you've been taught something about God that bothered you, be willing to follow the truth. Ask, why did it bother you? Ask, why is it there? I was meeting with somebody the other day, right, that was from this church. And we were chatting about, they were reading something in Scripture that really bothered them. And they closed their Bible and they walked away and they went and talked to their spouse and said, I'm frustrated with the Bible. And I told them, I was like, that is actually a great place to be. Okay? When you're just like, you don't understand something, so you need to go and process it and try to figure it out. Try to wrestle that thing out. John 14:6, look at this. Jesus explained, I am the way, I am the truth, and I am the life. Have you ever heard people try to say that you got to take that word truth and they try to make it into law? And they'll be talking to me and like, Matt, you got to be careful about that grace stuff because, you know, you got to balance it with truth. Truth is the balance, thinking that it means law. When here, Jesus is clearly explaining that he is truth and to follow him. Even Pontius Pilate, he sought truth too. Let me show you in John 18. It says, then Pilate responded, oh, so then you are a king? Jesus said, you are right. I was born a king, and I have come into this world to prove what truth really is. That's so good. And everyone who loves the truth will receive my words. Verse 38, Pilate looked at Jesus. Reminds me of the conversation between Neo and Morpheus. And he said, what is truth? And as silence filled the room, Pilate went back out to where the Jewish leaders were waiting and said to them, he's not guilty. I couldn't even find one fault with him. Pilate found that he was about to crucify Jesus, who was innocent. And that brought a sense of pain, but he had to know what the truth was. You begin leaving the religious matrix by being willing to follow, to pursue, to contemplate truth regardless of where it leads. Another healthy step to leaving the religious matrix is, number 3, you have to grieve the loss. Not a super popular topic, but you have to grieve the loss. Philippians 3, verse 7, it says, yet all of the accomplishments that I once took credit for, I've now forsaken them, and I regard it all as nothing compared to the delight of experiencing Jesus Christ as my Lord. Now, Leslie brought this scripture up last week. She said, verse 8, it says, to truly know him meant letting go of everything from my past and throwing all of my boasting on the garbage heap. Look at this. It's all like a pile of manure to me now, so that I may be enriched in the reality of knowing Jesus Christ and embrace him as Lord and all of his greatness. This is Paul saying, man, I thought I had arrived. But I realized I have to let go of some things that I thought were of value. I had to let go of some things. And if you leave the religious matrix, you'll have to grieve some loss. I'm just giving you a heads up. Not super exciting news on this one. The loss of time, right? I don't know about you, but I spent hours and hours and hours seeking God every day. Seeking him, like seeking his face, seeking his presence, seeking his will, praying, fasting, all those things. I had a lot of friends that used to try and get me to go play golf, and I'd say, sorry, I got to go pray. I used to be into exercise and working out, and I thought that that was bad, and so I had to stop working out because I needed to go spend more time with God. Fishing. I got invited to so many times to go fishing, and I turned all those times down because I thought that that was a waste of my time. There is actually, this is kind of a funny thing I was thinking about the other day. There is a time frame between 1999 and 2007 that I didn't watch any movies at all because I thought that that was a waste of your time, that you really need to be focusing on God and focusing on what he wants. And unfortunately, I had to grieve the loss of that time. Like, people will bring up a movie, and I'm like, when was that movie? And they're like, 99 to 2000. Okay, yeah, I didn't see that movie. So it's kind of weird, right? Another thing that you will have to grieve the loss of is surety. One thing that I can tell you that I'm sure about is that I'm not very sure. Right? I used to be so sure. Like, there was a time where I was in the faith camp. Anybody ever been a part of the faith camp? I was part of the faith camp, and I thought everybody needed to come into the faith camp with me. Everybody needed to join me, be a part of the faith camp, and if you weren't a part of the faith camp, you weren't really a part of what you needed to be. Then I got a hold of the grace camp. I was a part of the grace camp. I'm like, everybody needs to get over into the grace camp. If you're not getting the grace camp, well, then you're not doing right. Okay? Now I'm just a part of, like, the God camp. I don't know what you want to call it. I'm just like, I love grace, I love faith, I love all these things, but I'm not so sure about a lot of things. And when people get to that place, I think there's that's actually growth. When you get a hold of the fact that you don't have it all figured out and you're kind of starting over, that's okay. That's okay. You also have to grieve the loss of work. I was working really hard to be in God's favor. Anybody else like that? I got to be in God's favor. I got to make sure I do this and I do that and I do this, and eventually I was just like, I can't do enough. There's not enough that I can do, to where I was losing myself, losing my family. I actually started to press back against those things. I'm like, I'm not going to lose my family. Okay, I may have lost my personality and who I am, but I'm not going to lose my family. I'm not going to surrender all for the gospel or ministry or any of those things. I'm not going to. That has to be unhealthy. You have to grieve the loss of progress, right? I thought that I had made a lot of progress in the Christian world. I thought, man, if people, like, they could catch up to me, I thought I was something special, I thought I had arrived, and that's typically what you do here in Christian circles, right? Like, once you kind of figure it out like I figure it out, then you'll figure it all out. Only to find that I don't have it all figured out. I thought I was ready to be used by God. I thought I was the elite group. And I had to grieve the loss of progress. Something else I had to grieve was the loss of friendships. I've lost a lot of friends. Because those friends thought that I was something that I really wasn't. Right? They thought I was this, like, religious person that had it all figured out, and when they realized that I wasn't, they're like, well, I don't know if I can still be their friend. And I really thought about it. I was like, if they couldn't be my friend because I wasn't that religious person that they thought I was, then they weren't really my friend in the first place. And some have stuck it through. Some are still my friend because of it. Even though I had to grieve the loss, sorry that was a difficult topic. Even though I had to grieve the loss of those things, I feel like I've gained more about who God is and his love for me and his love for other people. It's so interesting. Even though I grieved all of that, man, I feel like God loves me so much more. I feel like I'm closer to him. At least I feel like it, right? And I feel like he loves other people a lot more than he did, than I thought before. The final step to leaving the religious matrix is number 4, don't be crazy and go back in. I have a quick video, I think. Let me see. Hopefully it all works out. It kind of explains it.
Do we have a deal, Mr. Reagan?
You know, I know this steak doesn't exist. I know that when I put it in my mouth,
You can turn it up.
the matrix is telling my brain that it is juicy and delicious. After 9 years, you know what I realize? Ignorance is bliss.
Then we have a deal.
I don't want to remember nothing. Nothing. You understand? And I want to be rich. You know, someone important. Like an actor.
All right,
Whatever you want, Mr. Reagan.
you can pause it. Great. You gonna go see the movie? No? Maybe? Oh. This character, Seifert, chooses to re-enter the Matrix because he finds the real world too difficult, preferring the comfort of the illusion. Now, this is an allegorical idea that some people prefer the comfort and rewards of conformity within a controlling system rather than facing the harsh realities of the truth. I love that Galatians 3, this is Paul talking to the Galatians. He said, "You crazy Galatians, did someone put a spell on you? Have you taken leave of your senses? Something crazy has happened, for it's obvious that you no longer have the crucified Jesus in clear focus in your lives. His sacrifice on the cross was certainly set before you clearly enough. Let me put this question to you. How did your new life begin? Was it by working your heads off to please God, or was it by responding to God's message to you? And are you going to continue this craziness? For only crazy people would think they could complete by their own efforts what was begun by God. And if you weren't smart enough or strong enough to begin it, how do you suppose you could perfect it? Did you go through this whole painful learning process for nothing? It is not yet a total loss, but it certainly will be if you keep this up." Now, I thought about, just to close this out, do you guys remember, does anybody remember the lights that used to hang over my head about 5 years ago, right, 4 years ago? They were pretty cool, okay, at one point. And they were very expensive to install, and I was not involved in the installation process, okay? But about a year in, they started to do some weird things, and everybody was irritated about it. All of you were irritated. I heard about it every week, right? Matt, what are we going to do about the lights? I remember one week Clark was preaching, and there was one that was just flickering the whole time, and we couldn't, it's like, it's just a cool strobe look right now. I don't know what to do about it. And I was talking with some of the guys, Joey and Yuri and some of them, and Yuri had a phrase. He said, Matt, he goes, let's just call it cost incurred. Like, you're just going to have to scrap the lights and start over. And that was a painful thing, because I don't like to waste anything, but I still stripped them all down, and somebody cleaned it all up. I actually still have the lights in the back, because I'm like, maybe we'll use it at some point. I don't know. Probably not, but just this thought in my head. And I think about when I saw that lady sifting through her stuff, okay, on the ground. I was sure she was crazy. I was like, man, this lady she's lost it. And maybe she did. Maybe she had. But I look at it as, yeah, cost incurred. At some point, you just have to count it as a loss, and you have to move forward, okay? And I think about that with some of the religious things that I've learned, that I've done, some of the stuff David was sharing in the class this morning. It's like, you've been through a lot, you've seen a lot, and you could sit around and you could be like, well, I mean, you know, what am I supposed to do? Eventually, you have to move forward. Eventually, you have to reconstruct. And that's kind of what we're going to talk about next week is, okay, deconstruct, we get it. We got to sift through and process and decide what's good and what's not good and what's healthy and what's not healthy. But how do we rebuild our lives? How do we, you know, what is something that's solid that we can know, well, this is consistent, this is healthy, this is right, this is, you know, what's fun, what's not fun, all those things. And I want to do that together with you guys. I don't have all the answers, but I want to do that together with you all next week, and we'll figure it all out. But I do know that no matter what you've been through, no matter what you've learned, no matter what you've had to process, I do know that God was with you the whole time. I do know that he saw all that, and he was with you, and he was for you. And so even if you have to let go of some things, he's for you when you let go of things. How many times are there things that we got to talk our kids into letting go, and like, just let go of it. It'll be good. It'll be good.